Hello again, everyone. This is Gilmer, and welcome back to Grand Tactician, the Civil War. And we obviously we lost our save game from my last playthrough that I was starting, but I am having to dub sound over the video because I lost the audio. Because every time Windows updates, I lose the audio. My audio settings go to shit, and then I don't get any audio, and it tells me after I close the program that the audio failed to initialize or whatever. So right here I'm talking about the three policies I've taken: Old Dominion, Arms Agents, Native Allies. Old Dominion is where we give more precedence to Virginia and make the capital Richmond to make them support the Confederacy more. And Arms Agents gives us more guns, more firearms. And Native Allies is pretty self-explanatory. We can recruit Native Allies much easier with that policy. And I'm starting in 1862 again, and the game is loading, obviously, and it actually tells you what the policies are as you're loading up. So in late 1860, the southern states persuade Virginia to secede, making it the leader of the rebellion, which coalesced their support for the secession. And it also made the capital city Richmond. So that's what happened with that's what the Old Dominion means. Although it does and it supposedly it demoralized the Union, but it's so weird that both capital cities are only, however many miles away from each other. And here are the other two coming up: Arms Agents and then Native Allies. You can pause the video to read what each one of those do, but I've kind of explained it. And then you have a quote from Jefferson Davis at the end, talking about how they're gonna they're going to secede and they're going to fight if they have to. So anyway, I skipped the video where Alexander Stevens says we've unleashed the demon of war, and then I talked a little bit about the field book. It's not really completely full yet. It's not completely done, so I don't really go through it too much. I don't know what I'm doing here, to be honest. It looks like I'm kind of looking at the objectives, but I'm probably also just talking about the field book and how it's not completely. I don't understand why this thing keeps coming up with my Apple phone. So we're going to close the field book out here, and then we're going to close the paper edition that's telling us we're going to Civil War. And I apologize for the sound. I'm not talking like I normally would. I'd probably be talking a lot louder if I was recording as I was playing the game, but it's just completely gone. The sound was completely gone, and I thought about uploading the video with no sound, and I thought nobody's going to watch that. So I decided to redo the sound with my commentary going through the video as we're going along. Honestly, I'm not really sure what I'm doing here, what I'm talking about here. I do think we had a patch come through, and there are a lot of better things going on with the game now. And you can zoom at this point as opposed to used to. I'd have to click on the top icons to get zoom to actually work. But now zoom is working. The situation is basically the same as it always was when we were starting at 1862. We got the Army of Mississippi opposing the Army of the Tennessee and Army of the Ohio. That is the first corps up there, and I'm going to pull it back to Corinth, And Corinth is a hub of rail and supply and other things that Corinth was definitely a target during the war. And so I'm going to focus, I believe it's Joe Johnston's, no, it's Alvin S. Johnston's Army of Mississippi in that area. Now, I don't know what these arrows are because they don't give me descriptions, and I've seen them come up before and I've never used them. But yeah, the descriptions haven't come up for me on this one. I actually have a beverage here that I'm going to open while I'm watching. So Leonidas Polk is the commander of the 1st Corps, and I'm going to bring him back. And it was kind of giving me a kind of a weird little snake-like movement. I don't know if that's going to work or not, but whatever. And then the Reserve Corps over here under Breckinridge is a little off as well. I don't really know how to make them actually attach back so that I can issue an order to the full army and every one of them move. But we'll figure that out on the way. I'm just describing now about how this is after the Battle of Shiloh, and Corinth is probably going to be the next target for the Union, and it's also going to be my next defense point. And now we're going to the west, and we have some garrisons down there in what looks like Indian territory maybe, and then we have this battle right here that we fought before. Army of the Southwest against Army of the West. Mine is Army of the West. And I'm going to reconstitute this army a little bit because I don't like how Sterling Price has so many brigades under his command. So I'm going to add a couple of divisions and move the cavalry into a division, and also spread out the division, the brigades through the divisions to make it look more clean. So what I'm doing is I'm adding a division here, Evans, and I had a little trouble trying to get these brigades over there. They didn't seem to want to cooperate. The whole thing was dragging at first. And as you can see, that 1st brigade didn't really take, and now it's working a little bit better. A little better. Seems like you got to do it twice to make all of them take. So I'm going to move that artillery division into Evans, and I'm actually going to create a division for the cavalry at this point. And what I first do is I first try to add a brigade, which is not what I was trying to do. So I went ahead and canceled out of that because I wanted to make a division. And then it for whatever reason, it goes back to Army of Virginia, which I don't want. And so we're going to pull up Army of the West again and going to add a division. And that's Mercer. The division leader is Mercer, and we're trying to move that other cavalry unit over to Mercer's division. Division. My bad. For some reason, I was like, well, whatever. I obviously didn't realize what I was talking about at that point. So I'm going to move that brigade over there. So I'm going to have 4 infantry brigades per division and 1 artillery brigade per division, except for the cavalry. The cavalry is going to be off on their own. So right now it looks okay, but I don't like how they got that infantry division down there in the row where all of the artillery is. I know it's aesthetic, but I just kind of want it all to look uniform. So I'm going to take that artillery out and then I'm going to put it back in. And there we go. Now we look good. That's exact. I mean, that looks very clean to me. 3 brigades of infantry, 1 brigade of artillery, and then a division with 2 brigades of cavalry. So that's how I have it all set up. It's commanded by Major General Earl Van Dorn. I'm not really sure what I'm talking about at this point, but I was thinking about adding some more men, but then I decided it would take too long, so I'm not going to do it. Oh, but I am going to upgrade as many of the weapons as I can, as needed. The Enfield rifle musket is equivalent to the Springfield rifle musket. So, but I think we don't have a full complement of all the rifles that we need. So we're going to be stuck with the Mississippi musket or something on one of these. But the Enfield rifle musket can be imported or produced, and then the Mississippi rifle is better than both, in my opinion, because the range is better, and then the accuracy is better. It's just the fire rate isn't as good, but to me, the Mississippi rifle is a better weapon because of accuracy and range. So we're going to hover over the Mississippi rifle, I think, for a minute here and just look at it. So its range is 500 yards and it shoots 2.5 rounds, but the accuracy is very good. And that makes it better than the Springfield rifle musket and the Enfield rifle musket. I don't know how to get all of my guys with Mississippi rifles, though, or those, whatever they call them. I forget now. The Springfield musket is a poorer form of the Springfield rifle musket, but it's not going to let me. For some reason, it won't let me upgrade these, and I think it's because of supply. I think I don't have enough of them to outfit these units. Then I try the Springfield rifle and the Enfield rifle. Neither one of them work. I probably should have tried the Lorenz. And then the cavalry, the Enfield musketoon is good, but the shotguns, I want to get them changed out. It won't let me change those either. And then I also try to change out that 6-pounder, and it won't let me do it either. So that's what I have. That's what I go to war with. So it's not going to let me upgrade anything else. So that is what I have to deal with in my fight, my next fight, because we are going to battle the Army of the Southwest in an actual battle. At this point, I remember something. And what I remember is that I had so much trouble with this department, the force called the department, over here on one of these peninsulas. The Department of Virginia, and I'm the Army of the Peninsula. And I had so much trouble with them that I did see in somebody else's video that they built a fort. So I'm going to build a fort here. And it lets me build it right there. So we know now that that fort is being built. And when I start turning it on, an icon comes up saying it's being constructed. So that's how you build a fort. And I've seen in several videos when somebody builds a fort there, if that Department of Virginia comes out and tries to attack, they lose big going up against that fort. And I don't know what I'm talking about here, but the Army of the Virginia. I'm probably talking about how I don't like the way the Army of the Virginia is set up with the Department of, or the Army of the Peninsula is up under the Army of Virginia, but it's off on its own. And then I also talk about how the Union looks like they've captured Wheeling, Virginia, which becomes Wheeling, West Virginia at some point. So now we're going to go back over to the west. We're going to watch this battle. The battle that I fight out in tactical battle. And I feel pretty good about it. I've won this battle. I've won this battle once. I lost this battle once, severely lost it, and then I auto resolved it, and it won. The AI won it for me, and so that's some experience of it up until this point. So we're gonna go ahead and attack again and see if we can't beat this Army of the Southwest. I don't really know what I'm talking about here. Probably talking about all the battles that we've already played out on this battle map and everything that's going on. And then I'm going to punch it up to 10 times here. And they're going to start moving. And now I could auto-resolve, but I'm going to play the battle. And it's March 5th, 1862, Fayetteville, Arkansas. It says Fayetteville, Arkansas. It's not really Fayetteville, Arkansas, but that's the battlefield that it's played out on. It's not really, I don't think, very close to Fayetteville, but it could be. So we have 17,000 men. They have 9,500 men. Now it's playing out on March 6th, 1862, which is my birthday. Well, not the year, but the day. The day is my birthday, but not 1862. And Brigadier Samuel R. Curtis is going to face me with 10,000 men and 44 guns. And Major General Earl Van Dorn is going to face them with 17,210 men. And I don't remember how many guns, but we have more guns than they do too. So we're just talking about how the Union seems more determined, but the fighting spirit actually favors the Confederacy, and I think that's a change that they tweaked in the patch. And our readiness is better, and our intelligence gathering is better, but training the Union is slightly better. And I guess that's because they're out in the... So 17,207 to 10,000. That's battles, won, loss, whatever. I think that might be something that is cumulative throughout the full war, but we're looking here at the generals being compared. Samuel Curtis is more famous than Van Dorn, but Van Dorn has a slight edge in leadership, a significant edge in initiative, I'd say a significant edge in administration as well. And then, of course, Curtis is better in cunning, and ranking is 1 and 2, which I think that just has something to do with brigadier general is probably higher than a major general. I'm not really sure. I get it's like lieutenant general is over a major general, which just kind of threw me off all my life, and I'm still not sure if I'm completely right on which come when and which come where. And these are our objectives, 10 objectives, and you can see the objectives. There are all these white stars on the field, so every one of those white stars is listed on this sheet that says that tells us our objectives, and one says it's already lost. That is one that the Union already controls, and then the rest are either incomplete or need to be taken. So this is a pre-battle setup. And I was talking about how you probably, in just about every battle, you're going to want to get it as close to that line as possible, because, it's usually the way you're going to your objectives. So you want to get to your objectives quicker than anybody else. I guess the only reason you might not is if you're in a real good defensive position and you're actually on the defensive and have a lot less troops. And right here I'm talking about, this is a big field. Right here where it says open field, high ground, that's a big field. And every time I've fought the Union, they've come through that big field. And so I know that is a very important part. And see, they've already taken that objective, and they usually come down this road to Elkhorn Tavern. And I usually can get to Little Mountain, open field, high ground, Pratt Store, Leetown Road. I can usually capture all of those before they get on the field. And so that's what I'm going for, is to kind of capture all of those and be set up. And I don't know if you can see it, but I do have my regular mouse. I'm going to take this division and move them up here on this side of this little creek and get to Pratt's Store. And these two are infantry divisions. I'm going to just march them straight up right here, where I know this is probably disconcerting because I'm jumping around all over the place with one cursor and jumping around all over the place with another. But if you look at my white cursor, this is where I'm going to set up the two infantry divisions, and then I'm going to send the northernmost division, which is the cavalry division, to capture some objectives up north. And at this point, I was already talking about how it was supposed to take a day for my reorganization to get into place, but it looks like it's already happened. So I have 4 divisions on the field, all of them evenly balanced, except for the cavalry division only has 2 brigades, and I'm going to detach it and send it north, and also going to try to use it to reconnoiter the battlefield and where the enemy troops are. But it ends up that they don't spot them first, but they do capture some objectives up north, Round Prairie up there at the very top of the screen. As you can see, we start out, even though we outnumber them 2-1, we start out with them almost winning a minor decision at this point. The cursor, if you're looking up there where it says Battle of Fayetteville and then indecisive, the little cursor thing for the battle, the way the battle's going, shows about 75% towards the Union, even though we haven't even shot anybody yet. Nobody's shot. So I think that's kind of I don't think that's a bug or anything. I think that's just the way everything is right now. I think it counts some of my disabled men as battle casualties. So I think that's why it's saying it's indecisive, but weighted to their side at this point. And right here I'm showing you where my cavalry's going. It's going up here to Round Prairie, then it'll take Little Mountain, and then we're going to come down that road and try to hit them on the right flank with my cavalry. So now I've started the battle, and we're going to speed it up to 10 times. And they're booking now 10 times. I talk about this. I don't ever actually go for that objective, but I talk about sending my cavalry down there to take it at some point. But the battle just happens so quickly, and it's really, in the big scheme of things, it doesn't even really become a major point. It doesn't help me win the battle, and I don't ever go for it. So it is, as As some people say, it is what it is. That's what my coach of my football team says. It is what it is. So we've captured Leetown Road right there in the middle. We're just getting onto the open field right above Pratt's store, just north to Pratt's store, which is down at the south of the screen. We're about to take Pratt's store. As you can see, we've already entered the open field. We don't have everybody here, but our artillery is setting up right there on the edge of the open field. And we haven't spotted them yet. So they just captured Pratt's store. And that first division artillery is going to set up right there. That's what I'm looking at right now. And as you can see, the cavalry's already taken round, what is that? Round Prairie? I'm not sure. Round something. And so then I give them orders to come down that road and take Little Mountain. And the rest of my troops are setting up because we're going to kind of try to get them in almost an L formation is what I'm going to set up. And on my original video, I talked about the Battle of Cannae, in which the Carthaginians were able to surround the Romans on three sides and gave the Romans the biggest military defeat they ever had. Well, this isn't going to have two flying wings on the side. It's just going to be an L shape, kind of like a crossfire. And I'm hoping at this point that they'll come into the open field and they'll come right up on the open field and come to kind of the left of where the objective is. I mean, to their left of it and to my right of that little open field objective marker. And then from the north, I'll bring those troops in kind of southwest to kind of close the L a little bit and get them in a nice little crossfire. And the only reason I'm able to do this is because I know how the AI battles this field now. And I think I don't know if they do it exactly the same every time. And if they have more troops, they might not. But I've fought this battle 3 times already, I think. And won 2 and lost 1. Or maybe it was only 2. Won 1 and lost 1. The first one was a bloodbath, but we won it. The second one, and here I'm talking about my division has suffered severely before the enemy, and the men are losing hope with nervous morale. I'm afraid panic could grip the rest of the men, and a full rout could follow. He hasn't even met the enemy, and that's what I'm asking right now. Is like, what is he trying to say? He hasn't even met the enemy. What the hell's wrong with that guy? And Evans, the same thing. My brigade has suffered severely before the enemy. And then the other 3 messages are objectives taken. But I don't get those 2 guys sitting there. It's got to be the disabled men that they have in their units, and they consider them already as battle casualties. That's the only thing I can think of. But they don't list them as losses. I think they're just nervous Nellies. And so I'm trying to set everybody up in a single line and get them right where I want them to. And so I'm kind of micromanaging a little. But some of these brigades stop right before where I want them, like maybe 100 feet before where I want them. I'm like, you're not even in the battle. Get a little forward. So, I mean, and I'm talking like I'm frustrated, but it's more from a general's standpoint, frustrated with his men. I've told you to get here. Why didn't you get there? If he could talk to him, I didn't tell you to stop back in the, baggage train. I told you to move up. So why aren't you moving up? And so I'm kind of micromanaging because they have stopped, some of them. And it's a little annoying. You know, if I was a general, if I was Van Dorn, I'd be kind of going, sending some terse, TERSE messages to my commanders, asking them what the hell they're doing. So here I'm accelerating the time a little bit because I got my men kind of where I want them. They're kind of setting up. They're real close to the way I want them. This one that I've got selected over here to the right, they're by a fence. They're kind of lined up on a fence, which really isn't facing the enemy though, because it's facing to the west, and the enemy's going to be coming from the northeast, northeast. But if you look at the little battle slider, though, the battle's coming more to me because I'm capturing all these objectives. So right now it's almost even. And now I'm going to have the cavalry move up this road, and hopefully I'm thinking by the time they move up this road, they'll be able to take the enemy. Well, actually, right now I'm moving him up to the top of that hill to see if he can't see the enemy. But it turns out that he doesn't even see him first. It's going to be these brigades down to the south that see him first. And really, that's all the objectives I go for at this point. Everything else is just setting up the battle. That artillery is in good shape. I've got the division commander Evans right there, and then right behind him the Major General Van Dorn. And I'm gonna go through every brigade and make sure that they're firing at long range, because I think that hurts me when I don't fire at long range, because I think they open up before they get into medium range, and then I'm getting shot and nobody's really shooting back. So I'm setting them all up to shoot at long range. Now it's just wait for the enemy to get there. Slack's brigade. So at this time we're at 2 times. Going to click it out to 4 times the speed and see if they won't come into, play around a little bit. Let's have some fun. Well, I don't think the people on the field thought it was fun, but we're going to think of it as fun. Look at all my little message dispatches going out to the individual brigades. I think that's almost as good as we can get set up, except I don't pull in the cavalry as quick as I should. But they get there. They'll get to the battle. And as you can see, the battle slider is almost right at 50%. It's 51% their way and maybe 49% our way, but that's it. Oh, I'm going to bring this brigade back. Cavalry brigade. I don't want to charge, so I'm just going to tell them to move up. And as you can see, they did kind of move out east a little bit and took Huntsville Road. But here they come. Here's the 1st Brigade, and I've set it to normal speeds. It's their 4th Division Artillery. And we're already shooting at them. It's too bad you can't hear the sound effects because they're already shooting at them. That first shot went really wide to the right. And now I'm doing the WASD, trying to make sure everything's exactly the way I want it, Everybody's in the kind of range I want them to be. Everything is just right. I'm going to do counter battery fire on the artillery. I don't know what that does other than I think it just shoots the other artillery. But they're shooting at me now. Two full-size brigades sitting there right in the open field on the high ground, just before the objective, though, on my left flank. Look at all those shells bursting over the Union, and I was really grateful that my brigade right there turned to the enemy and started shooting. It's Dodge's detachment. So at this point, we're right at 50%, I do believe. No, it's still about 51% their way. So they're already taking casualties, which was very encouraging to me that my guys were making some damage. We're doing damage to them. And I think I decided at this point that this brigade needed to move up on the right a little bit and give him support. So they're still losing men. I think they had 35, now they got 56 casualties. And the Union bunched up right here on this road, and I'm not sure exactly why they did it, but I don't think that really helped them very much. Maybe they were surprised to find us in position already. And that building just blew up. We just blew up that building, and that's what's smoking in the middle. Is that building. I guess artillery hit it. And I think it just took it down even more. Yeah, it just collapsed. The building just collapsed. How cool is that? And I'm looking at it because I just realized it collapsed. And I'm wondering at this point why they don't have any casualties on that 308 men. It really kind of worried me that on some I wasn't getting any casualties. So at this point I'm thinking that my left flank needs to move up just a little bit so that they'll be in range. So that's what I do. I move up 2 brigades on the left so that they'll be in range of the units that are right there just north of the destroyed building that are marching right now. Now there's 3 brigades. So I'm worried about those guys coming across the middle of the field. And as you can tell, my troops moving up, I took the open field high ground objective while I was doing that. I never even realized that when I was first playing it. But when we moved up, so I've got them. That detachment, as you can see, that detachment just routed. That 308 men that they had, they're gone. They went back to their brigade because they were a detachment, but they routed. The detachment did, and so now I've got 1 brigade basically up against 2. At this point, at least 2, and really 3 now because that other one's moving up. So I decided to move these down here to my right. I decided to move them up a little because they're not really doing anything at this point. They're not engaged, in my opinion. Although this one right here on the right, but the inside right, he was shooting at somebody. But now, as you can see, the battle is starting to swing in my direction. And I keep looking at those two brigades, and neither one of them look like they actually lost any troops. And I'm wondering what's going on here. But if you look at the division says it's lost something like 1,400 troops. See right there, it said 733 men and no casualties. This one says, let's see, 733 is a second brigade, no casualties. That can't be true, because I'm firing point blank into them. And I think that's just a counting issue that the mechanics are messing up on, because I think the division is showing the casualties. Because if you look at the division, at one point they have 50% casualties. See, 733, 0 casualties. And then this one, 1,000, 0 casualties. But then if you look at the 4th Division, they've got 593. And I think both of those brigades are attached to the 4th Division. So they're taking casualties. It's just not showing them in the brigade counter. So here they decide to actually charge me. And so the one right up there is being charged, and the other one is being shot at by 2 of my brigades, and they're really doing some damage at this point. That guy is being murdered. It's still not showing on the counter, but he is. He's losing a lot of troops. And I'm sorry I keep jostling the video, that the video information keeps coming up. But okay, so as you can see, one of their brigades just broke, and that was the one my two brigades were shooting at. So they just had one brigade break. And I tell them to start shooting on the one that's meleeing, however you pronounce it, meleeing, hand-to-hand combat. I don't know if they're able to shoot at those or not, because they're locked in hand-to-hand combat. And then I have the 2 over here on the right just keep on pouring fire into them. I think that brigade was already very weak, but by the time it charged me hand-to-hand combat, because just about every time I've gone hand-to-hand with the Union, it seems like they win it every single time. But this time they don't. So at this point, I'm looking at it, I'm going, okay, we're got just a sliver of advantage in the battle, and we're just pouring it on them. The 1st Brigade down here has 76 casualties. Benton's detachment has no casualties, but I'm not even after this battle, I'm not even going to worry about it. The 1st Brigade is wavering, and I think they just broke. So the 1st Brigade just broke. The Union 1st Brigade. And that's when I realized I left my cavalry down here. And as you can see, they have a cavalry division running along that same road going west. And I need to counter that, because I don't want to let them get their cavalry in behind my brigades, or I don't know if it's worse or not, but charging my artillery over there. I don't want that to happen. So now it's looking like the battle slider is about 53% in my favor. And I'm going to move up. Going to move my brigades up. And just make sure I'm in shooting range of some of these some of these brigades of theirs, because I want to just be shooting them as much as possible. And you can see their cavalry's coming around. Looks like they want to come in behind my artillery. So I set them to attack. And I think they decide that means charge, because they start going at a gallop, I think. And I also bring a couple of brigades that were sitting in the reserve or back. I didn't necessarily mean for them to sit back there, but I had a couple of brigades sitting in the back, and I'm going to have them move up and cover the artillery over here. So I got one on one side of the artillery and one on the other. And then over here, I've got my brigades moved up, and they're just pouring it on anybody they can. I'm loving it at this point. And I got another brigade over here marching across the field, and I start pouring it on them. I guess that's a detachment of some kind of brigade. And so the battle slider is about 54% in my favor now. And as you can see, their cavalry, I think, is deploying for battle. And then they have an artillery behind it. Artillery unit behind it. So this brigade is ready for them. Thank goodness. And we're going to just fire away. Yeah, see this cavalry? It's like they're galloping it or charging down to make sure they get there. I don't think I meant for them to do that, but they did it. And so now they're going into almost like a battle line, and it doesn't seem like they're doing much. I don't know what the hell they're doing right now. They're just, I mean, what is that? What is that action they're doing? It just looks weird. So I decide I'm going to have them dismount. And then I'm going to attack. So at this point, you can see the slider is just marching across, and then all of a sudden it jumps all the way to major victory, because I think one or two of their brigades broke at the same time. So it's way over on my side, right at probably 85% major victory. And then I got these two Union forces kind of bracketed. I got the cavalry behind them. I got two brigades in front of them. And I got another cavalry unit coming to their right. And it just looks like this is going so much better than the last battle when I lost. This has been a slaughter of them. Look at all those blue uniforms lying on the ground. I still got a brigade out here sitting right in the middle. So I'm going to swing them and face them to them. And I'm going to move them up too, because that brigade looks like it hasn't been hit or shot at yet. But they're all shooting. That's what I love about it. They're all shooting. And my artillery is actually shooting at them over here. And then my cavalry's over here shooting at the 2nd Division. And it's artillery. So it's taking... I think I capture that unit too, because I capture 10 artillery pieces. So as you can see, this has turned into a major victory at this point. And so I've been using that lay down. I've been having my troops lay down, because it seems like they don't take as many. I mean, I know that seems like it would be self-explanatory that they don't take as many casualties when they're laying down, but I guess their accuracy suffers a little too when they're lying down, or their effectiveness. I'm not sure, but I've been doing that so that they take fewer casualties. And as you can see, these units over here for the Union are taking major damage and major victory. It's at about 96% now, or 97%. So you can see we've won this battle pretty convincingly at this point. But that artillery unit didn't seem like it was taking any. But that brigade is taken. As you can see now, the slider was all the way across now. So this is something new. It doesn't keep letting you play the battle. It goes immediately to a victory screen. And it goes, I mean, this was a major victory for me. I lost 1,000 men. They lost 4,000 men, over 4,000 men. 10 guns are missing. We captured those 10 guns. So that's why he lost those 10 guns. And we captured 845 prisoners as well. That's a major Confederate victory. That was definitely, to me, very more tweaked and more of an outcome, more of what you expect when you outnumber somebody 2-1 and you pick the battlefield, which I basically picked the battlefield and set up kind of a L-shaped crossfire situation that worked, that everybody got into spot where they're supposed to go to. And so used to, it might say major victory, and then on this screen it would call it a minor victory, but it calls it a major victory. And enemy's national morale drops 0.07%. Ours goes, and our military experience goes up 0.04%. And Captain Good has become famous and is an inspiration for his men. So there you go. That's not the full video though, because some more things happen. We're just waiting for it to fill out. So as you can see, the battle report is completely wrong. It has 0 everything for everybody, which we know is not the case. We killed 4,000 of theirs, or they had 4,000 casualties, and we had 1,000. But in actuality, we captured 845 of their men and captured 10 guns. So here we got another engagement. It's the same one. We caught up to them. They're trying to retreat, and we caught up to them. So I actually auto-resolved this battle. But at this point, we know that we have 16,000 men, and they have 6,000 men. So I auto-resolve it. And it's at nighttime, so I speed it up a little. The French invasion, whatever the hell. I don't know if that really affects us or not. I think that's a French invasion of Mexico. So I accelerate the time so that we can get to the real battle. British intervention is at 15%. Not very high. Not really sure what those crossed guns are with the green wreath. I'll have to look at that. So here are the battles ongoing. This auto-resolve battle. And you can see the little slider. It has a little tiny slider right there, and you can see it's going our way. So we killed, or they had casualties of 3,673. We had casualties of 911. Oh, and that's where we captured 814 men from the battlefield. But we did capture 10 guns from the previous battle. So the British are ready to assist because we've had a couple of major victories. And we've fulfilled that objective, and we fulfilled win the first major battle objective. And as you can see over to the right, you have Battle of Fayetteville, 2 of them, both of them major victories. So it's looking pretty good. I'm just kind of trying to see how many troops I have left, but I can't really figure it out at this point. So I'm just really just closing the video up at this point. Thanking everybody for watching. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching.